The moment I walked into that empty banquet hall, I knew they had done it again. 4 months of planning $10, 400 paid in full, and a heart full of hope that maybe this time would be different. The elegant table settings stared back at me, mocking my optimism. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Oops, wrong address sent. Too late now. Behind her casual words lay years of deliberate exclusion. What happened next would end their games forever. Before I continue this story, let me know where you are watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button. I grew up in an affluent Boston suburb where appearances meant everything. My father, Thomas, built his reputation as one of the most ruthless attorneys in Massachusetts. People respected him publicly but feared him privately, including his own family. My mother, Elaine, a former beauty queen, who married into money, perfected the art of turning a blind eye to maintain her lifestyle. Then there were my older siblings, James and Allison, who learned early on that following father meant receiving his favor and financial support. From childhood, I was different. I questioned things. I challenged the family values that prioritize status over substance. This made me the black sheep long before I even understood what that meant. While my father groomed my brother for law and my sister for a strategic marriage, I gravitated toward art and creativity. The constant comparison was relentless. "Augustine, when will you pursue something worthy of our family name?" my father would ask at dinner parties, making sure guests could hear. "James already has partnership offers from 3 firms. My mother would add with a practiced laugh, "Our Augustine is just going through his artistic phase. He will grow out of it." But I never did. Against their expectations, I built a successful event planning business that catered to Boston elite. Ironically, my understanding of their world made me exceptionally good at creating the very social experiences they valued. Yet my professional success only seemed to deepen their disapproval. The pattern of forgotten invitations started subtly. A family dinner I was not told about until the next day. A holiday gathering where the time was accidentally communicated incorrectly. Always with plausible deniability. Always with a superficial apology that placed the blame on miscommunication rather than intent. "We tried calling you Augustine," my mother would say with practiced concern. "You must have been busy with one of your little events." I convinced myself these were genuine mistakes. Family is family after all. Everyone has their flaws, and mine was apparently being too sensitive. At least that is what I told myself. Everything changed when I met Kelly. We connected at an art gallery where I was organizing a charity auction. She was there representing the pediatric hospital, where she worked as a nurse. Kelly had this remarkable ability to see beauty in unexpected places, both in art and in people. "You have a gift for bringing people together," she told me that night, watching how I navigated the room. "It is more than just planning an event. You create experiences that matter." Her words struck me because no one in my family had ever seen my work that way. Kelly came from a middle-class background with parents who supported each other at every school event and family dinner. Her stories about family game nights and holiday traditions sounded like scenes from movies to me. As our relationship deepened, I was reluctant to introduce her to my family. I gave vague explanations about busy schedules and travel conflicts. Kelly noticed, of course. "Augustine, is there something about your family you are not telling me?" she asked one evening as we walked along the Charles River. "Every time I mention meeting them, you change the subject." I finally shared some watered-down version of our dynamic, careful not to sound bitter or resentful. Kelly listened without judgment, then suggested something that had never occurred to me. "Maybe your engagement is the perfect opportunity to heal those relationships," she said. Major life changes sometimes shift family dynamics. People grow. Her optimism was contagious. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to hope that perhaps a significant event like my engagement might indeed be the turning point in my family relationships. Kelly and I had been engaged for 6 months when I decided to plan an elaborate dinner to officially celebrate with both families. I threw myself into planning the perfect engagement dinner. This would be different from the countless events I had organized for clients. This was personal. I chose Maison Laurent, an exclusive French restaurant where I had coordinated my first major successful event years ago. The owner, Jean, had become a friend and mentor. Augustine, for you, we create something special. Jean promised, his French accent still thick after 20 years in Boston. The private dining room overlooking the garden. Your family will be impressed. I leveraged every professional connection I had. The menu featured specialized courses with wine pairings I selected personally. The floral arrangements would incorporate elements representing both Kelly and my heritages. I handled every detail myself rather than delegating to my capable staff. You never put this much pressure on yourself for client events, my assistant Nora observed as I rejected the third draft of the custom menu cards. This is different, I explained, not meeting her eyes. This has to be perfect. I sent detailed invitations 8 weeks in advance, followed by confirmation emails to all family members. Their responses seemed enthusiastic, suspiciously so, given our history. My brother James mentioned looking forward to finally getting to know the woman brave enough to marry you. My sister Allison asked about Kelly's dress and jewelry information I deliberately withheld to avoid her criticism. Most surprising was my father. During our brief phone conversation, he actually congratulated me. She must be quite remarkable, he said, his voice lacking its usual edge. We look forward to welcoming her properly. My mother called 3 times with questions about the venue, asking about parking and dress code. She even inquired whether we had considered dietary restrictions for all guests. This level of interest was unprecedented. They sound excited, Kelly said, as I recounted these interactions. See, I told you this could be a new beginning. I wanted to believe her. The day before the dinner, I did a final walkthrough at Maison Laurent. Everything was immaculate. The place settings gleamed in the soft lighting. The private dining room had been transformed with subtle elegance that even my critical family could not find fault with. For the first time, I allowed myself genuine optimism. Tomorrow night, Jean said, clasping my shoulder, will be magnificent. That same evening, the first discordant note appeared. My cousin Tyler called asking about transportation to the lake house. When I clarified we were meeting at Maison Laurent in the city, not the family lake house in New Hampshire, he backpedaled awkwardly. Right. Sorry, man. I must have gotten confused about dates. So many family events this month, you know. I dismissed it as genuine confusion, but a knot formed in my stomach. Then came a text from my sister Augustine. Did you change the plans again? Mom mentioned something different yesterday. The old anxiety crept back. I called my mother, seeking reassurance. Of course we will be there, darling, she said, her tone syrupy sweet. 7 o'clock sharp, just as your lovely invitation stated. We would not miss it for the world. Something about her voice triggered my suspicion, but I pushed it down. I called the restaurant again, confirming everything was set. Jean assured me all was in order. That night, Kelly noticed my distraction. Is everything okay? Just normal pre-event stress, I lied, not wanting to taint our celebration with my paranoia. But I could not sleep. I kept checking my phone, noting the unusual social media silence from my normally active family members. No typical pictures of outfits being chosen or comments about looking forward to the evening. Nothing. Still, I maintained hope. This time would be different. The day of our engagement dinner arrived with perfect early autumn weather. I woke before sunrise, too anxious to sleep any longer. I dressed with particular care, selecting a new charcoal suit I had splurged on for the occasion. Kelly looked radiant in a deep blue dress that complemented her eyes, her excitement genuine and untainted by the doubts that plagued me. Ready to make it official with both families? She asked, adjusting my tie. More than ready, I answered, wishing I felt as confident as I sounded. On our way to the restaurant, we stopped to pick up small, thoughtful gifts for each family member. For my mother, a vintage brooch from an antique shop she had once mentioned admiring. For my father, a rare first edition of his favorite legal thriller, signed by the author. I had called in favors to find it still seeking the approval I had never received. We arrived at Maison Laurent 2 hours early. I wanted to oversee the final preparations, personally arranging each detail with precision born from years of professional experience and private anxiety. "This is beautiful," Augustine Kelly whispered, as I showed her the private dining room. Crystal glasses caught the light from the antique chandelier. Fresh flowers in subdued autumn colors graced the center of the table. Place cards in perfect calligraphy marked each seat positioned strategically to facilitate comfortable conversation between our families. "Your parents will sit here," I explained, showing Kelly the head of the table, "and yours across from them. I thought it would be nice for them to face each other directly." The venue manager complimented my attention to detail, unaware of the emotional weight behind every choice. As 7 o'clock approached, I checked my phone constantly. Several family members had texted they were on the way or looking for parking. I began to relax. But 7 o'clock came and went. No arrivals. "Boston traffic," I explained to the hovering staff with a confident smile that felt increasingly brittle. "Friday evenings are always challenging." 15 minutes late became 30. Then an hour. I called each family member. All went straight to voicemail, an unlikely coincidence that made my stomach twist. Kelly watched me with growing concern as I paced the private dining room, my earlier excitement curdling into something ugly and familiar. The venue staff maintained professional composure, but I caught their uncomfortable glances. I had been on their side of this situation before with clients. I knew what they were thinking, the pathetic host abandoned by his own guests. Jean approached with practiced discretion. "Augustine, would you like us to begin serving for those present?" Those present. Just Kelly and me. At a table set for 16. I checked the reservation details again, confirming I had made no mistake. Kelly reached across the table, placing her hand on mine, as we sat in two lonely chairs at the vast empty table. "Something must have happened," she said, though her tone betrayed her doubt. After 90 excruciating minutes, my phone finally buzzed. A text from my mother. "Oops, must have sent the old location. We are all at the lake house. Anyway, it is too far to come now." No apology, no suggestion to reschedule. Just oops, as if she had forgotten to buy milk rather than deliberately sabotaged the most important personal event I had ever planned. I tried calling back immediately. Straight to voicemail, of course. Then came the cascade of messages from other family members, each with identical vague excuses. My brother James texted about a prior commitment he had forgotten. My sister Allison sent only sorry with a party hat emoji, as if celebrating my humiliation. What struck me most was the coordination. Different excuses, same message: "You are not worth our time." Kelly read the messages over my shoulder, her expression shifting from confusion to dawning comprehension, then to protective anger. "Augustine, this was deliberate," she said, softly squeezing my hand. "This was not a mistake." I could not speak. My hands trembled as I set down my phone. I had suspected, of course, on some level. But having the confirmation in writing, seeing the casual cruelty laid bare, was different. The weight of years of similar misunderstandings crashed down suddenly, forming an undeniable pattern I could no longer rationalize away. I maintained professional composure in front of the venue staff, insisting on paying the full amount despite Jean's offers to reduce the bill given the circumstances. The food and service were impeccable, I said mechanically as I signed the final receipt for $10,400. "Please ensure the staff receives their full gratuity." Jean squeezed my shoulder. "I am sorry, my friend." I arranged for the prepared meals to be packaged and delivered to a local shelter. No sense in wasting good food. Kelly and I drove home in silence, me staring out the window at passing streetlights that blurred through unshed tears. At home, I hung up my new suit with robotic precision, as if proper garment care could somehow bring order to my internal chaos. Kelly tried to comfort me, but I had retreated to emotional shutdown, a self-protective response honed through years of similar disappointments. "We will reschedule with my family only," Kelly suggested. "They are excited to celebrate with us." I nodded without really hearing her. Something fundamental had shifted inside me, a final thread of familial connection snapping beyond repair. Sleep eluded me that night. Around 2 in the morning, I found myself mindlessly scrolling through my phone, deliberately avoiding any family contacts. Then my cousin Tyler's Instagram story appeared. I nearly scrolled past it until a familiar setting caught my eye. Our family lake house, decorated with the exact floral arrangements I had described to my mother, the same champagne I had selected for our dinner. My entire family gathered around a long table laughing. I turned up the volume to hear my father's voice clear as day. Best party yet. Zero drama, zero him. Everyone cheered in response. In the background, I could see my mother checking her phone the exact moment. She would have been receiving my desperate calls. I replayed the video multiple times, numb disbelief, giving way to ice-cold clarity. This was not a mistake. This was a deliberate, coordinated exclusion planned well in advance. They had taken my engagement dinner plans and recreated them in a location they knew I would not be. Kelly found me still staring at the screen, my face illuminated by the blue glow in our dark bedroom. Augustine, it is 2 in the morning. What are you doing? Wordlessly, I handed her my phone. She watched the video, her face hardening with each passing second. Those absolute monsters, she whispered. How could they? Her question broke something in me. How could they? They could because they always had. With new determination, I began digging through past communications, seeing patterns I had willfully ignored for years. Email threads, where I had been accidentally copied, revealed discussions about keeping Augustine busy during a family vacation I was told had been canceled due to weather. Photos posted of spontaneous gatherings that had clearly been planned in advance. Evidence mounted of a family tradition of creating shadow events when they were obligated to invite me but did not actually want me present. Most damning were the financial records. As the family member with business accounting experience, I had been managing various shared accounts and investments for years. I discovered systematic use of my contributions for events I was excluded from. But the final piece came from my younger cousin Jake, who had inadvertently shared screenshots of a family chat to a group thread I was part of months ago. I had ignored them at the time, but now I scrolled back to find explicit discussion of the location switch for my engagement dinner dated weeks before the event. Mom thinks his fiancée might actually like him. Can you imagine, my sister had written, with a laughing emoji. Dad says we will do the real celebration at the lake, my brother responded. Let Augustine play restaurant host to an empty room. He is used to it by now. The evidence was irrefutable. The exclusion was systematic and deliberate. A family sport I had been unaware I was participating in. I broke down completely, years of denial crumbling under the weight of undeniable proof. Kelly held me as I sobbed, finally releasing decades of pain I had suppressed under the guise of being the bigger person. I have spent my entire adult life seeking their approval. I confessed, words pouring out between ragged breaths. Every career achievement, every financial success, even my choice of apartment and car, all calculated to finally earn a place at their table. Kelly listened as I recounted childhood memories that suddenly appeared in a new harsh light. Family photos where I was positioned at the edge, easy to crop out. School events my parents attended only when my siblings were also participating. Graduations where my accomplishments were diminished while my siblings were celebrated. They have been gaslighting me my entire life, I realized aloud. Making me think I was too sensitive, that I was imagining the exclusion. Kelly's horror deepened as she understood the extent of my family's cruelty. No one deserves this, Augustine. No one. As my emotional fog cleared, other realizations emerged. I had been managing family accounts for years, providing financial support and professional connections, while receiving nothing but contempt in return. My parents had taken credit for my contributions to relatives' medical bills and education costs. They had been using my professional network while excluding me from their social circle. Something shifted in that moment. I moved from devastated victim to clear-eyed actor in my own life story. Enough, I said, my voice steadier than it had been in hours. This ends now. Kelly watched the transformation in my demeanor, with a mixture of concern and support. What are you going to do? With methodical precision, I began reviewing all family financial entanglements. I discovered my name was still on the venue account for the lake house, a property management arrangement I had set up years ago using my business contacts. Emails revealed my family had been claiming my professional achievements as their own connections, leveraging my reputation while undermining it behind my back. I am not going to lash out emotionally, I explained to Kelly. That is what they expect. Instead, I am going to use the skills I have developed professionally to orchestrate a different kind of event. Kelly looked worried. I support you completely, but I am concerned about what this is doing to you. I took her hands in mine. This is not about revenge. This is about closure, and perhaps finally justice. Over the next 3 days, I executed my plan with the same attention to detail I brought to my professional events. First, I accessed the shared family accounts I had been managing for years. With proper documentation of my contributions, I froze access to the investment portfolio I had built for the family, which they had been drawing from while excluding me from the benefits. Next, I transferred funds from the venue account they had been misusing, reclaiming the money that was legally mine as the account holder. I gathered comprehensive documentation of every financial contribution I had made to family events, education funds, and medical expenses over the years, creating a clear paper trail. The digital evidence was overwhelming. Using my access to our shared cloud storage, I compiled years of family communications that demonstrated the systematic pattern of exclusion and lies. With professional precision, I created a comprehensive digital presentation that laid out the behavior pattern without emotional commentary, just facts, dates, and direct quotes. Are you sure about this? Kelly asked as she watched me work. I am only using legally obtained information that was already accessible to me, I assured her. Nothing illegal, nothing exaggerated, just the unvarnished truth they never thought would come to light. I set up automated email delivery for precisely 1:0001 p.m. that evening. The timing was deliberate, a reference to my father's strict dinner rule that everyone must be seated by 1:0000 p.m. exactly, no exceptions. As 1:01 approached, Kelly and I sat together watching the clock. I had already packed our bags for a weekend away, knowing the storm that would follow. Email sent my computer notified us as the clock turned. In that moment, every family member, including extended relatives and their social circle, received identical emails containing my professionally created presentation. It included screenshots of conversations planning my exclusion, financial records showing my contributions to family events I was never invited to attend, and proof of them taking credit for my professional accomplishments. I included a measured video message explaining my permanent departure from family obligations and connections. No threats, no accusations, just my decision to remove myself from their lives as they had repeatedly removed me from theirs. I turned off my phone immediately after confirmation of delivery. Kelly and I drove to a coastal bed and breakfast, leaving the family chaos behind. Sunday night, we returned home to 74 missed calls. The voicemails ranged from my father's rage to my mother's tearful manipulations to siblings' desperate attempts to explain. Extended family members I rarely heard from expressed shock at the main family's behavior, claiming they had no idea. I reviewed the messages with surprising, calm feeling, no urge to respond or engage. The family dynamic had already begun to fracture, with members turning against each other in blame for the exposed behavior. "Your father is devastated," my mother claimed in one message, her voice quavering. "How could you embarrass us this way? Not how could we have hurt you this way, or how can we make amends, but how could you embarrass us?" Even in crisis, her priority remained appearances. Several cousins and an uncle reached out separately, expressing genuine remorse and claiming they had been unaware of the full picture. I appreciated their messages but felt no obligation to respond immediately. After careful consideration, I sent one final message declining any further contact with my immediate family. To extended family members who had reached out respectfully, I offered potential for future individual relationships with clear boundaries. Kelly's family, in striking contrast, offered genuine support and welcome. Her father called personally to express his regret for what I had experienced, and to assure me I had a place at their table, literally and figuratively. For the first time in my adult life, I slept peacefully, no longer carrying the weight of seeking approval that would never come. 6 months later, the difference in my life was profound. Kelly and I hosted our own private engagement celebration with true friends and her supportive family. My event planning business flourished without the constant drain of family drama consuming my emotional energy. I began therapy to understand and break the generational patterns I had been caught in, determined not to carry them forward into my marriage or potential future children. I reconnected with a few positive extended family members who had reached out sincerely after my departure from the family circle. The process of grieving the family relationship I never had was challenging, with unexpected waves of sadness catching me off guard. Kelly provided unwavering support while encouraging my independence. "You are not defined by their treatment of you," she reminded me during difficult moments. I came to recognize how I had enabled the situation through financial support and constant attempts to earn approval. Through therapy and reflection, I learned to identify and value genuine relationships based on mutual respect rather than obligation or manipulation. The wedding plans Kelly and I made reflected our new priorities: small, meaningful, and surrounded only by people who demonstrated true care. I found myself welcomed into Kelly's family without the constant comparison or competition I had grown up with. Perhaps the most important realization was that family is chosen, not obligatory. The people who choose to show up for you, who celebrate your joys and support you through pain, are your true family, regardless of DNA. I no longer needed closure or apologies from my birth family. My worth was never tied to their approval, a freedom I wish I had discovered years earlier. If you have ever found yourself making excuses for people who consistently devalue you, especially family, I want you to know that walking away is sometimes the healthiest choice. Financial independence gave me options that not everyone has, but setting boundaries is possible in many different ways. The signs of systematic exclusion versus isolated mistakes become clear when you allow yourself to see the pattern. Trust your instincts. If you consistently feel unwelcome or diminished in certain relationships, pay attention to that feeling. Building your chosen family based on mutual respect creates the belonging that toxic biological relationships deny. There is peace in creating your own definition of family. The strength required to walk away from mistreatment is far greater than the strength it takes to endure it. Where do you find your worth? In the approval of others, or in your own values and choices? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe to hear more stories of personal transformation. Share this with someone who might need permission to prioritize their own well-being. Thank you for listening to my journey. And remember that your story is still being written and you hold the pen.